Congratulations. Welcome back. This is video 3 for the key of A. We're understanding things by organizing ourselves. We're understanding things, music in a bigger way, and organizing our thoughts around the folder in your brain for the key of A. So we went over the circle of chords last time. You should at least have memorized the main 4 chords, which are A, D, E, and F sharp minor. And you should have a general sense for the full key of A. Anytime you see a D and an E and an A and an F sharp minor in a song, guess what key you're in? A. So let's keep going. Let's start getting some color in our chords. Let's start getting some motion and some melody, some movement in our chords. So let's get into some common kind of adaptations to these main chords. Let's look at A real quick. One chord I like to do in this open position. Everything we're doing is just for right now in this open position. Usually what we consider the first 3 frets, maybe first 4 frets. What I like to play is an A add 9. Or A, you might see it as a A9 or A2 or A add 2 or A sus2. For all practical purposes, for now, treat 2s and 9s as the same thing. Look at A's 2 note. What is it? It's B, right? If you kept counting to 9, you'd be back at 2. A2, which is B. There's your 9. It's just an octave higher. For all practical purposes right now, 2s and 9s, treat them the same when you're as a rhythm player in the open position, as a rhythm acoustic player. So what it is it's just taking this 3rd finger off. It has a nice little twist to it. It's still an A. So why couldn't you, say a chord chart says A, why couldn't you do this? You know, say that went with the song, right? Put in a little motion. The next one I want to show you is called an A sus4. Sometimes you'll just see it as A sus, just depends on the chord chart and who made it. But generally, if you see sus, it's a sus4, and that's a music theory video for another time. For now, I'm just showing you the chords and just kind of like, I want to give you permission to use these chords in your songs. You know, don't think that you have to just do the block chord when you see it. If you feel that it could add a little color, a little motion, do it. Right? We could have just called that an A moment. We put a little motion to it. Da-na-na-na. Okay? I'm going to leave it there for right now. Let's go to B minor. First of all, let's talk about a B minor 7. B minor 7's 7 note. By the way, the numbers come from adding from the chord that you're on up the circle. So for each chord, his numbers count from that note. So B minor's 7, you would start on the B and call it 1 for now because we're trying to find his numbers. I'm just explaining how numbers work. So if you understand it a little bit, cool. If not, this goes over your head, that's okay as well. We're speaking a language here. B, so call B1 for right now, and B 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Where does that 7 note land? It's an A note. B's 7 note is an A note. A quick way to find a 7, whatever chord you're on, that letter, look at the letter behind it in the musical alphabet, and you'll get that chord's 7. For example, G's 7, what's the letter behind G? It's an F. So G's 7 note is an F note. If you know how to find an F note, you can create your own G7. Coming back to key of A. When we release this pinky on a B minor chord, what is revealed here? This note right here, which is an A note. So why not add an A note to this song when you're in the key of A? It kind of like latches the chords together, kind of connects them in a way, rather than a block here of A, a block here to B minor. Well, let's let them overlap a little bit by having that thread of an A note through them. Also, little fun moves for these minors in any one of these can be released and brought back, and it'll sound good. All right, that was this note. That was the pinky one. That one sounds good too. What are we doing when we're releasing those? Well, we're going back to that familiar A chord anyway. The parts of A that are already there are already the A chord. So why wouldn't that sound good? Why wouldn't it sound good to say, release that one for a second? Dun, dun, dun. That's a note in the A chord. Of course it's gonna sound good. I'm gonna throw a fancy B minor 7. It's not my favorite chord for the key of A, but if you're having real trouble getting to the B minor, here's kind of a cheater B minor that I'm not real proud to show you for this key because it really belongs in the key of D, which you'll watch later. But it goes like this. Let's say from A, suspend your A and bring your pointy finger up one. And this passes as a fancy B minor 7, add 9, don't worry about it. No, sus 4. B minor, sus 4, add 9, whatever. Sounds cool. Alright, sounds cool. Alright, A over C sharp. Let's do an easier A over C sharp. What I do a lot of times is I play the A add 9 over the C sharp. Sounds cool. We get this low C sharp, part of an A chord, and then this B note. Why not? So that was an A to A9 over C sharp to D. Okay. If the chord chart calls for an A over C sharp, you can, if you think it sounds good, play it as an A9 over C sharp. Okay? All right, moving on to D. The D chord. Just a couple quick moves on that one. One is release that middle finger. That note to D serves the same purpose as open B is to the A chord. It's a D add 9. Now all of a sudden, the D chord and the A chord just got way more interesting. You can't suspend the D chord in the key of A naturally. The D sus note is a G note, and the G note is not in the key of A. Here's another cool chord. It's a D major 7. And the only reason I bring it up is because it has a lot, it marries and overlaps itself very much so with the A chord. And it has two notes. These bottom two notes of the A chord has it in common with this D major 7. Sounds pretty cool. It would have to match the song. Not every song calls for that nice, I call the major 7s a melting chord. They melt. Right? You melt into them like melted cheese. All right, let's go on to E. What can we do the E chord? Well, naturally in the key, you can't release this pointy finger because that makes an E minor. And so that would be like bringing minor and majors into the same moment or same song. And it rarely is going to sound good. So generally, if something's major, keep it major. Don't flirt with that minor note with it. It's not going to sound great usually. But you can suspend the E chord, the sus 4. And that note is the pinky note. Pinky note below the E chord. We're lifting. So it gives it some lift or some tension or some in-breath and some release to bring it back to its natural state. What is E's sus 4 note? Let's practice that kind of where the numbers come from thing. go to your E chord, give it its own one, count up the scale from there. E, F sharp, G sharp, A. We land the fourth note is an A note. So E sus4 means it's an E chord. Everything about it is an E chord. But instead of the 3 note, the G sharp note, you lift it to its 4 note, which is an A note. Just look at it with your eyes. That's that same A note that we talked about earlier that made a B minor a 7. Wow. You didn't realize there's this much numbers and math in this. Let some of this go over your head. It's okay. By the time you got through all videos for the 5 keys, hopefully you'll understand these concepts more. Again, come back to these videos. Pause them, rewind them. Practice the moves, practice the motions. You gotta make it a part of you, So practice putting these motions through these chords again. Change them to the different chords in the key, right? Make up your own chord patterns and rhythm patterns. So what I just did here was I started A sus4 and resolved it, pushed it back out again. Then I went to E sus4. So straight to that pinky note. Suspended and resolved. Suspended and resolved. And lastly, but not leastly, is the F sharp minor. That darn big old barred block F sharp minor chord. What are we gonna do about that thing? Well, here's a couple alternate ways to play them. If it sounds good for the song. If it doesn't sound good, then you can't do it, okay? So kind of test the water, see if it sounds good for the song that you're playing in the key of A. But this is the chord. It's basically an A add 9, done with these 2 fingers, pinky and third finger. You can do it different ways. For some reason, I tend to do it this way, with these 2. And then I throw the middle finger on top. While doing so, I mute the A string by just touching it with that middle finger. So we get this boom. It's got a sus4 in it, it's got an add 9 in it, and a minor 7 note in it. So it has 3 flavors to it. We won't get so much into all that stuff, but just know it's got, again, 3 different kind of flavors to that chord, rather than, right? Now you might think that block chord sounds right, or sounds better for your song. Use it. If you think this one sounds better for the song, that was a 6 minor, the F sharp minor, to the E, to D, to A. Again, put these chords in your own little chord progressions and to your own rhythm patterns and just practice the heck out of them. One more kind of alternate F sharp minor. This is a fancy way to do it as well. But it's that same theme with keeping the high 2 strings open. So it's a kind of a marriage between the traditional shape and this open E thing. You can do it a couple different ways. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hold these 2 down here, and I'm gonna go pointy finger on that 4th string down 2nd fret, which is a note that was already naturally in the chord. And then I'm rounding out my fingers and I'm letting the high 2 strings be open. Okay, and what I'm doing is, for now, I'm just avoiding the low string. If you can thumb over and grab that low F sharp note, that's cool. Might as well start trying to use that thumb. That gives you 5 fingers to use rather than just 4 when you can, when it's appropriate. So if you can't grab that thumb over to the 2nd fret, maybe just, play those bottom 5 strings. So it's just kind of an alternate cool way of playing these chords. Use them when advantageous. And the E over G sharp, I'm gonna leave where it was at. There's not much you can do with it, with the 4 fingers we have. So, thank you so much for watching. If you have questions, leave them below. If it deserves a whole video explanation, who knows? Maybe we'll do a video for it. But ask those questions and we'll see what we can do. My name is Jacob Paul with Inside Out Studio. You can go to insideoutnwa.com. You can download a whole free guitar curriculum, and you can see these videos in an organized way straight on the website, insideoutnwa.com. Thank you so much for watching.